Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're tackling a topic that's close to my heart. Well, actually, close to all of our hearts. Because let's face it, without it, we wouldn't be here doing this show. We're going to be looking at the origins of written language, specifically Chinese characters.
That's right. We'll be exploring some excerpts that tell the story of Cangjie, the legendary figure credited with their invention.
Now, imagine a world without writing. No books, no emails, no tweets. Pretty wild, right?
Yeah, knowledge would have been completely reliant on memory and oral transmission.
Talk about pressure. Every time you told a story or passed down information, there was a chance it could be lost or altered.
Exactly. And that's where Cangjie comes in. According to legend, he lived in ancient China during the reign of the Yellow Emperor.
Okay, so we're talking way, way back.
Oh yeah, thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
This was a time when communication was solely through the spoken word.
Got it. So how did this Cangjie fellow manage to create a whole writing system from scratch? That seems like a pretty monumental task.
Well, the sources describe him as a very keen observer. He was fascinated by the natural world.
Interesting.
He noticed patterns everywhere, in things like bird tracks, the stars in the sky, even the veins on a leaf.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
He believed that these natural forms held a deeper meaning, and he began to use them as inspiration for his characters.
So he saw, like, a bird's footprint and thought, hey, that could represent the idea of a bird or maybe even flight.
Yeah, you got it. Those early characters were essentially pictographs, pictures representing ideas. Think of them as simplified drawings. A circle for the sun, a crescent shape for the moon.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But how did he go from simple pictures to a system capable of expressing complex thoughts and ideas?
That was Cangjie's genius. He didn't just create individual symbols, he developed a system for combining them to form more complex meanings. It's like building blocks. You take a simple symbol for sun and you add another element to it, and suddenly you can express bright, daytime, or even emperor.
Wow, that's incredible. So from observing nature, Cangjie essentially created a blueprint for a whole new way of communicating.
Exactly. And his work had a profound impact. Those early pictographs evolved over time into the Chinese characters we know today. They became the cornerstone of Chinese culture, shaping everything from literature and poetry to philosophy and art.
It's amazing to think that a writing system born from observing nature has had such a lasting impact. But you mentioned that Cangjie's invention wasn't universally embraced. What was the pushback about?
You're right. Some people, as the sources say, were actually quite resistant to the idea of writing.
Really? Why?
Well, they worried that relying on written language would weaken people's memories. They feared it would make people intellectually lazy and that it would lead to the decline of oral traditions.
That's interesting. It's like the debate we have today about technology. Does it make us smarter or does it make us more dependent on it?
Exactly. It seems like every generation has to grapple with that question in some form.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But okay, let's talk on Cangjie himself. There's a lot of mystery surrounding him, right? I mean, was he a real person or was he more of a mythical figure?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of debate about that. Some sources describe him with almost supernatural abilities, like having 4 eyes.
4 eyes. Okay, now that's a visual I wasn't expecting.
Right. Makes you wonder where those stories came from. But whether he was a real person or a myth, his story speaks to something deeper about human nature.
What do you mean?
Well, it speaks to our innate desire to make sense of the world around us, to record our experiences, and to share our knowledge with others.
And to find ways to preserve those experiences, to make them last.
Exactly. Writing gives us a way to transcend time, to connect with people across generations. It's pretty powerful when you think about it.
So true. And even if we may never know the full truth about Cangjie, his legacy lives on in the countless ways that Chinese characters continue to shape our world.
Absolutely. And here's something I find really cool. Even though those characters have evolved over thousands of years, you can still see traces of those original pictographs. Like if you look at the character for Sun, you can still see that simple circle that Cangjie probably first drew.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Talk about a direct link to the past.
Right, and that's just one example. There are so many others.
This has been such a fascinating journey. We've gone from a world without writing to exploring the origins of one of the most widely used writing systems today. It really makes you appreciate the power of language and the impact it has on our lives.
I agree. And it makes you wonder, what would the world be like if writing had never been invented? Would we even be having this conversation?
That's a great question, and one that I think we'll all be pondering long after this deep dive is over. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring.